As explained yesterday, Paul and John, they look at the incarnation and death on the cross as highlights in the love of God. And Luke the evangelist talks about the love of God through the mercy and compassion. And I noted that 3 major parables explicitly highlight this mercy and compassion, and they are found in Luke chapter 15. The first, the lost sheep; the second, the lost coin; the third, the lost son. Today we look at the third parable, the lost son. Luke chapter 15, 11 to 32. And in that parable teaches that Jesus joyfully receives sinners. The redemption of sinners is therefore redemptive love. Luke chapter 15 verse 20 further shows that when the son returned home, he was reinstated in his position. He wasn't just treated as a second-class citizen, he was treated as an equal. This act of pure goodness is attributed only to Almighty God. Only God can treat us like that. We among ourselves, we try a little thing and sometimes we go well, but when the rage and the anger, sometimes seem to get the better of us, we fail, right? So this compassion is really a sentiment that is deep. It is not superficial. It is so deep that we feel it in our bowels, we feel it in our movement. It ought to form a way of life. And that's why in Luke's Gospel, chapter 15, verse 20, let us read that. Luke 15, verse 20. So he left the place and went back to his father. While he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was moved with pity. He ran to the boy, clasped him in his arms and kissed him tenderly. So when we talk about the compassion, about love, according to Luke, it's embedded in the compassion. So before the father even forgave him, he was moved with pity. And that movement is, I mentioned earlier on, is not a superficial one. Moved to the depth of his being, and he received his son to the extent that he reinstated him as before. And that's why the parable of the lost son, as we call it, the prodigal son, is so very important, that he came back to the father, and because of the mercy, because of the compassion, he received the love of God. The other son, the elder of the two, allowed arrogance to get the better of him and was unable to come in, did not want to come in, reluctant, and consequently received no pardon. So we look at the life of Luke, who tells us that compassion, mercy are 2 central themes in terms of the love of Almighty God. That's why you see Luke writes for the marginalized, the poor, the downtrodden. I feel sorry for these people. You will see him mentioning that about Jesus. They have been following me for some days. I feel compassion. Son of David, have pity on me. And all that is to exemplify the overwhelming love of the Father. So we stop for today, and then tomorrow we continue with the love of God.